Hey guys, it's Mistaken Reality here, and in this tutorial we're going to be integrating Jigsaw Inventory with Ballistic FX. So at the end result we will be able to have our weapon fire, the release will work, be able to kill our AI, be able to kill our player, and everything will work. Other impacts. So without further ado, we'll get into that. First thing I'm going to want to do is actually open up my other project. So you want to create your Jigsaw Inventory project and a Ballistic Visual Effects project. You can pause the video here and create those two blank projects. Don't move any of them into each other yet. You're going to want to do a few things before you move it over. So we have our blank project and my main project that I was just doing testing in. First thing we're going to want to do is go to our collision and create some collision channels. And they're going to be object channels. So that's going to be projectile. That's going to be block, trigger, volume. And it's going to be set to overlap. And penetrator, and that's going to be set to overlap. Make sure you get the spelling on these correct. That's important. Now I want to import our physics and our rendering. I'll have a download for those in the download, so you want to pause the video and download those in the description right now. So you want to go to import. And get your physics. Import. Get your rendering. And that should be everything for our project settings, I believe. Close that out. And now we're going to want to open up our main firearm class, which is our master weapon class. So you want to go into pickups, skeletal mesh, firearm, main firearm class. This is where our fire bullet is handled, function here. And basically, if you want to use if we're using a projectile, which is ticked on right here, this one's for our line trace. Just move that down out of the way. Oops, moving that. Okay, so I'm gonna grab this and move it down here like that. And we are going to put in our type in qubit. And we forgot to import Ballistic Visual Effects, so you're not going to find anything unless you import. So you want, the way we're going to do that, we're not going to actually import it. I'm going to open up to your Ballistic Visual Effects file location, and you want to go to your content folder and grab your Ballistic Visual Effects. And then you just want to go to your folder for your Jigsaw Inventory, and you'll have your collections, developer, and inventory, and you just want to copy this, Ballistic Visual Effects, the content here, and paste it right here. You'll notice that it'll appear right here almost instantly. Gotta wait for all these to move over. And we can close out of this now. And now we have Ballistic Visual Effects in here. Now we can search qubit, and we'll go to qubit projectile. And you'll get a lot of errors. Just want to refresh that. you'll notice that we have no way that we can send our projectile velocity in right here. Drop this down. Self can go to owner. Always spawn. Ignore collision. And now we're going to want to open up our uni projectile and create some variables. One is going to be damage. Then it's going to be a float. And we're going to put that instance edible and expose on spawn. And if you compile and come back here and refresh this, you'll notice you have your damage input. Now you can plug your damage in. We also want our projectile gravity. I'm not going to use the projectile gravity actually, because the ballistic visual effects actually handles that nicely, but I'm going to want to set the projectile lifespan. And our bullet ID. And this is going to be a name, I believe. Yep. So now we can head back here, compile. And actually, you want to make sure all of these are instance editable and expose on spawn. And refresh this. And then you have your bullet ID, and your projectile lifespans. Now you can set those in your weapon data the way you normally would have with ballistic visual with Jigsaw. And the only one we're leaving out is our gravity. And you could do that. You can add that one in yourself if you really needed it. And it would be done the exact same way we added all the other ones. Next, after we add all that in, get our damage, plug that into our base damage. And there's another one right here. Plug that into our base damage. And our damage outer radius, I believe, so it gets the max damage variable for our outer radius. You don't need two variables there. So now that's done. You're also going to want to go to your cubic projectile, scroll all the way down, and click on the replicates for your projectile. Now that we have that done, I'm going to grab all of this, make some room right here, because right now that's spawning the impact right here, so we don't need to create that in here. Now that we have our projectile spawning, everything should be sending over. We should be able to at least spawn our projectile. There's a projectile, but you'll notice that not hitting anything. So you want to go to your projectile collision component, open up your collision and set that to not penetrator projectile. Now you'll notice that you can hit things except for the AI, I believe. I think there's one more collision setting we need to adjust for the AI themselves. Yeah, our cubic projectile is actually overlapping. We want it to block our pawn. Now, we can shoot our AI. And you want to set new materials, for example. You always want to look in your material, keep digging until you find it. There it is. So you want to go into your material, set your physical material to, you notice you have all these that we added earlier in our project settings. Oops. Input. No, we added it to the physics. So you scroll all the way down in your physics, you'll notice you have all these that were filled out automatically for you, which is all the surface types that correspond with the ballistic visual effects, wherever they are, physical materials. That allows you to do the different blood effects, for example, for flesh. And if you ever run into anywhere, even though you're setting it in the material, make sure you look at the material inside the blueprint itself.
Target spotted.
Because there could be, you'll notice that there's like, we're hitting the body armor, I'm pretty sure right there. It's probably what's causing that. But if you go into your Jigsaw demo character, mesh, you can also set your physical collision right here. Sometimes it has it set automatically to just defaults that are in the project for use on other things. For some reason we're not getting the flesh from the AI. Oh, yeah, because we're not looking at it. That's our character. Demo AI. Maybe they have their own material set. Oh, that's weird. One moment, I'll look into that one quick. Alright, so after a little bit of digging, ended up being some collision issues. So if you want to open up your jig character and open up your capsule, and when you scroll down to your collision and you want to set your collision to custom, you're going to ignore your camera just because, and you can set your projectile from block to ignore. And in here, I'm just going to check and see if that's actually correct. Yeah, so now you can hit your player.
Target spotted.
And I don't think you actually need to set that to. Yeah, ignore on your capsule. You want to ignore your projectile to your capsule and your character. And capsule on your AI, which would be BP main AI. You want to browse, that'll be in your demo AI folder. Go to your capsule and ignore your projectile. That's what I was getting wrong. I was getting mixed up between my pawn and my capsule for a moment. So you want to just ignore your projectile. Check my mesh settings. You can check your mesh settings and compare them to mine. I don't think I made any changes here. And I'll just show you my mesh settings on my character as well, just in case. And now after setting this physical material, you should be able to shoot your character.
Target spotted.
And shoot your AI, but the damage is not working. Now it's another one I'm looking to. And I believe that's actually because if we go into our demo, pickups, skeletal mesh, firearms, projectile, open up our jig projectile, we have our event on hit here. And we're going to want to take these 4 nodes from here and copy them. Go into our qubit projectile. And that's what this space was made for. I forgot to add that in, so now that it will call the event for the projectile. And create this variable, create this variable, so we can have access to them in here. And our hit actor, which we can get right here. And our hit bone name we can get right here. And we'll want to make sure to plug this in over here. And also, if it isn't a pawn, you'll also want to continue over here. This is just the hit event right here. You want to go back into your main firearm class. Actually, you want to make okay, we already made these instanceable and expose on spawn for both of them. Okay, you want to refresh this node for your spawn projectile and your weapon. You'll notice you get a few more. And your weapon owner is going to be self, so it'll send that over there. And your projectile ID is your bullet ID. We could just go back into our qubit projectile, delete our bullet ID because we have the projectile ID being set there. So now we have checking if we're hitting the AI, or a pawn, not just the AI, any pawn. And there, we should have damage now. Now I'll have to look into some more clip problems. Yep, we have damage. We should be able to kill our AI as well. Yep, and everything is working fine, and I set a new physical material on the material. This one just to test out that. For example, I just went into the physical material right here, to the material right here, it's set the electrical physical material. And it allowed me to do that. Just gonna double check things between server and client. Where are you? Okay, so blood seems to splatter properly on the client. And that was the client again. I don't know why I did that. I don't know why I keep going for this rifle. I guess it just comes full ammo. I'm just so used to it. And the blood splatters work on the server. And you'll notice you'll have your back splatters as well, because you're using the projectile for ballistic effect. To adjust it, you want that to weapon owner. You're going to want to set this to replicated, and also your impact result divers, I believe, is another one. Yeah. Actually, no. We'll just have our weapon owner replicated. And we'll just put in as valid check. Just to be safe in there. It should always be valid though. Just double check and make sure everything works. Yep. Oh, I almost forgot one more little thing too, the lifespan for your projectile, because if you don't set the lifespan, it's going to go on for forever. And you can set that using this projectile right, that input right there. You want to lifespan and set lifespan. We're just going to run this out to respawn the FX. And now our projectile lifespan should be whatever it is in our... When, for example, we shoot the projectile, it will feed this into our projectile, and then that will set the lifespan right here. We're also going to want this. Now allow us to set it per data table. We're also going to want to put this over here. Move this FX spawner. That's where the impacts are spawned to, is right here. And if you want your Ricochet to do damage as well, you're going to want to copy this. And you're also going to want to copy the lifespan. And Control V, and Control C to get that, and Control V to paste it in here. Make sure I got enough room here for it. Now, when a bullet ricochets, this will be our damage for that. So we have our hit results. We have another one right here. Get your hit actor and plug it in over here. And then get your bone name and also plug that in there. And we're not going to need to continue on if it's not upon, because the ricochet it's just a continuation. And now we should be able to damage AI with ricocheting bullets. Or AI. We can get a ricocheting bullet to hit something. That was ricochet. I believe that was a ricocheting bullet killing
Target
him.
spotted.
Obvious. I clearly died by a ricochet shot. There's a blood splatter on the wall to prove it.
Target spotted.
It's pretty high quality blood splatter. But I believe that's going to be everything. If you found this video helpful and want to see more, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss out on any new tutorial video uploads. If you have any questions, suggestions, or comments, feel free to leave those in the comments section below or join my Discord server using the link in the description. Thanks, and I'll see you all next episode.